speaking of phenotypes, let's talk about the Trotskyite, because goddamn, this is 8 minutes of pure like left book memeing right here. Okay.
Of the Revolutionary Communist.
May I take some literature?
Of course, a trot is selling a newspaper, pamphlets and newspapers.
How much is it?
Depends. So that's all under $5. Paper's $5.
I think we can afford that.
You got Venmo, Cash App, you got the link?
I like this. See, the communists have Venmo. They've got all the digital infrastructure. I like that. Well, we can do cash. What's your best book?
Oh, best book? Well, let's see. I don't want to give you one you might use. Here, how about if you want to know what we're about, brother?
That's good. Absolutely. What's this one about?
This is our paper. We write this and we produce it monthly.
How much is this?
Also $5.
All right. We'll give you.
Dude, every communist group has this guy, okay? The most intense ginger you've ever seen in your entire life, dude. With trots, of course, they're selling $5 newspapers. I mean, it's perfect. This is incredible.
Thank you.
This is like a left book meme come to life, dude.
Let me ask you. Here's my issue. This is one of my issues with Kamala Harris. I want your perspective on it. I think she has two issues. She has not stated her actual policies, and the reason I respect somebody like Bernie Sanders more than I respect Kamala, and I've said this numerous occasions, I'm not saying it just right now, is if you have convictions, at least stand by them. If you believe in single-payer health care, if you believe in an effective national health care system for all, then stand by it. But why adopt those positions 4 years ago only to back off of them today? I could disagree with you, but at least have the position and stick to it. That's sort of what my criticism is. And my suspicion is there might be some counterintuitive alliances between the so-called far left and actually segments of the so-called far right that want to stay out of foreign wars, that want to end crony.
I mean, he knows his audience. He's going to the trots, dude. He's like, yeah. Think about how wonderful it would be if there was this allegiance, you know, a permanent international revolution, if you will, with like right wingers and also left wingers, you know.
To say that, you know what, there might be ways where you may not agree with 100% of what I say or what Donald Trump says, but you don't have to agree with 100% of what somebody says to think outside the box and vote a little bit differently. What do you think? You said I am here to listen a little bit, so I'd love to hear your guys' perspectives on why you're here and why you have your own disappointments with the current direction of the...
This is going to be able to represent us. They can't be pressured into representing us because we don't pay their bills, we don't pay Kamala's, Trump's, we don't pay yours, because they all have financial backers. That's why we need a workers' party to take down the two ruling class parties, one that doesn't have funding from these big businesses.
This is what so many of y'all sound like in the chat all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you realize the convention here, I don't need to preach to you then, but I mean, who buys the sweets, right? Talking about populist talk from the floor of the convention, stand up for the workers and break up the very companies that are sponsoring the whole event, right? So there's a bit of a paradox there. But, you know, all I would say is...
A paradox in what exactly?
Of controlled rhetoric, right? You have a lot of corporate interests controlling the way in which they actually assail those very corporate interests, which is kind of interesting. It is. I think we might be saying something similar. It's all a bit of a charade.
Yeah, I would say one thing that is definitely we're not similar on is you were talking about unification of like the far right and the far left. There is no...
Yeah, this isn't Bobavakian. This is RCA. This is Revolutionary Communists of America, not the Revolutionary Communist Party. Revcoms are a different type of cult. Revcoms are way worse than these guys. Revcoms are the dudes that are the crustiest at every protest. Anytime you go to a protest and you see crust, like you see an aura of crust, like a dust bowl in the center, and you see a dude wearing like a newsboy hat or like some steampunk getup, and like the outfit is just all black, and they have like these printed out they have these pamphlets as well, and they don't even know what the protest is about. It could literally be like March for Our Lives. It could be an anti-gun rally, but they're there and they're like, hey, you should come to this other rally tomorrow that we're having. Those are the Revcoms. There is a guy, there is every protest. They are there. Okay. Steampunk looking, crusty motherfuckers constantly trying to get you to go to another rally. Okay. It's like, bro, we're here for this rally. Why the are you trying to get me to go to another rally? What do you mean? That's because they love co-opting shit. They don't personally give a about anything other than pushing Chairman Bobavakian. Bobavakian said the word bitch is worse than the N-word. My goated feminist. Trots, on the other hand, will always set up a booth no matter where you are. And in that booth, they will be selling newspapers. They love writing newspapers. Okay, they are the pamphlet. They are the pamphlet party.
I'm asking, I don't know about unification, but there may be some common threads.
Well, we would say this: there is no perfect American communism, American socialism like this. You know, these other little parties popping up. It has to be international. We aren't here for the success of American working class, because the only way we can be there for the success of the American working class is the international working class in Canada and in Mexico. If you had some, and now we don't believe in this, but let's say there was some perfect, socialist America, it would immediately get pushed out by China, by Russia, by Europe. So we need an international socialist revolution in order to secure a true victory for the working class.
Woo! Vivek, what are your thoughts on reparations for Black Americans?
So here's my perspective. I was asked about this when I came to the south side of Chicago a year ago, and my position on this has not changed.
Vivek does not give a shit. My man said we need an international workers union because any other kind of like socialist momentum happening in any individual country is going to be immediately squashed. Like, I feel like you just skipped a couple steps there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, there's a bunch of steps that you just skipped to arrive at this magical place that you arrived at.
My position on this has not changed. I'm against race-based reparations because I think it will create more division.
What about race-based discrimination?
Wait, what does that have to do with anything my man just said? What the? He just skipped it. He was like, this is confusing. I don't care. What about race-based reparations?
Vivek, what are your thoughts on reparations for Black Americans?
She jumped in. He was like, thank God. He was like, okay, we're moving on from what you just said, which I have no input in whatsoever. I'm going to dial in on this other question.
So here's my perspective. I was asked about this when I came to the south side of Chicago a year ago, and my position on this has not changed. I'm against race-based reparations because I think it will create more division.
What about race-based discrimination that occurred in this country for
so
the last
let me just clarify one aspect. I think there was a time and place for it in the Reconstruction era. But today, when we actually bring back racial reparations, it actually causes greater discrimination, not more. I think we're seeing a rise in anti-Black and I think other forms of racism in the country. But part of the reason I think we're seeing it is there's no better way to foster racial animus than to take something away from someone based on their skin color.
So don't give Black people justice because it'll make other people upset.
Well, because it's going to create more division and be self-defeating. I think it's actually going to set Black Americans back because it will cause.
But Black Americans continue to live in that center.
I want to move out of the middle of this just because I feel like. So let me say this: you're not going to be able to solve. You are not going to be able to solve this problem under capitalism. You're always going to be coming up with these little band-aid issues. That is why the only way to truly get reparations for the indigenous people, for the Black Americans in this country, is a socialist revolution. Is by seizing the means of production and letting that community give themselves reparations. We don't need to be asking for, oh please God.
So I'm curious.
It's a great entry point for a lot of people who are just like exploring socialist material. One, because virtually everything that you search online that is a Marxist webpage with things written on it will almost always be operated by a trot. These are in the socialist movement. These guys are like the archivists, okay? Every fucking website that you go to, Marxist.org, communism.org, whatever the they are the scribes. They literally own all of those websites. That's why so many people also then get heated and have these kinds of perspectives, and it's like entry level excitement for a movement, which I think then I don't know. I think that it inevitably turns into nihilism, and then I don't know. You just somehow become deluded and you become Republican. Overall, I don't have an issue with anyone that is an anti-capitalist. It's great. It's just, I'm more of a vibes-based man myself, because Stalin has never become Republicans. Did I say that? Everyone has the capacity to become reactionary. Trotz just fucking hates Stalin. Everything bad in communism is Stalin. Trotsky was the heir of communism, and Stalin was just a meanie bad boy. I joke about not reading, and I'm not anti-intellectualist by any means. I do think that ultimately, maybe historically, some of these guys have had a tendency to be in academia and have maybe pushed their resentment against Stalin and as a resentment against the USSR as a whole, and played a formative work in creating a lot of the things that you regurgitate right now, old school tendencies and old school leanings, like the word tanky, a lot of the critiques of communism in action, even if it ultimately becomes a failure, right? And the lack of interest in examining like previous socialist projects in general oftentimes stems from academic sentiment that comes from intellectual leftists who more often than not are trots. Same concept as the Western Maoists talking about how the PRC must be destroyed by the West because they're revisionists or some shit. Ultimately, I think, I'll just say it like this. A lot of anti-capitalist movements, I guess because they're like completely outside of the confines of like normal politics in the Western world, especially in the aftermath of the Cold War, with no one to like steer them in a direction, oftentimes end up fractioning off into a million different pieces over unique differences, like minor differences in agreement. And there are plenty of people that are in this community as well who come from those different tendencies. But there is a reason why I regularly either shit on every different aspect of every different kind of anti-capitalists under that umbrella. But I also routinely will tell everyone that ultimately it doesn't matter as long as you are anti-capitalist.
What you're doing here, are you a supporter of the genocide against the Palestinian people?
I am an American who is actually here to listen to the views of people who disagree with me. Now, one of the reasons I'm supporting a candidate in this election.
Of Israel?
I am an American who is actually here to listen to the views of people who disagree with me. Now, one of the reasons I'm supporting a candidate in this election.
Of Israel?
I support the United States, and because of that, I support Israel and our relationship with them.
You support a genocide that has killed 40,000 Palestinians in the last 10 months.
So look, I think that the truth is there was an attack that precipitated it.
No, the
and we
truth
can't
is,
ignore
listen,
that.
dude, I don't play
fact.
those kinds of games. I'm an organizer. I'm not one of your.
I'm also pragmatist.
I'm not one of these people.
You're not a party.
This guy's sick. I thought this entire video was just about him like talking to trots about, I don't know, like permanent international revolution or whatever. But it turns out this guy is not, right? I don't think so. This is a totally different person.
Democrats or Republicans or nobody else.
I got you.
I'm asking you that you have no right to be here if you're not in support of the Palestinian people.
Hatem Abudaya, our national chair and leading member of the Coalition to March on DNC 2024, kicks off today's press conference. Oh my God, I don't want to ask Grok anything, ever. I never want to ask Grok anything. God, I hate Twitter so much. I hate Twitter so much. Oh my God, I hate every website. I hate every website. They're so bad. Instagram is also doing this shit where it's like, oh, it's not a search bar anymore. It's Ask AI. It's like, no, I don't want to ask Meta AI. I just want to know the username. I'm typing in the username. I want you to find which username I'm looking for. Everything is worse. Everything is worse. Everything is getting shittier and shittier and shittier and worse. Hold on. What did they start yelling? Yankee go home. Oh, crackhead Barney was there.
Stop being a jerk. We're going to hell. We're going. Talk to me from that. Why be a genocide warmonger?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of do like crackhead Barney or crackhead Barbie, whatever her name is, when she's like, you know, annoying people like Vivek who's already like profoundly unserious as a person. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she's annoying. I don't really like it, but like if she's gonna be annoying to a person like Vivek, then yeah, it's great. No, someone said she's like a sovereign citizen and like a First Amendment auditor, and you're so right, dude. That's exactly what she is.